Hi everyone, so here we are continuing on color theory, part two. So the first thing is value. So black and white are achromatic, they have no color. So when we keep saying, oh, the color black, the color white is actually not considered a color, it is called achromatic. Grays or mixtures of black and white are also achromatic. So achromatic is the value of colors, right? Lighter, darker. You can see the achromatic color schemes in nature. You got the skunks, the monkey, the panda, so black and white. So value refers to relative light and dark. Black is the lowest possible value, white is the lightest possible value. Middle gray is the midpoint between black and white. It is neither dark nor light. So if you take 50% black, 50% white, you get that perfect middle gray. Creating neutrals. Mixing two complementary colors together gives you a neutral. So in this example, if you mix yellow and blue, this is what the neutral of those two colors look like. Red and green, as you can see, this one's slightly darker. Blue and orange, and this gives you more of a purple tint neutral. Okay. Grays are generally categorized as warm gray or cool gray. So gray doesn't have to be battleship gray, right? You can go warmer or you can go cooler. Value is created by a light source that shines on an object, creating highlights and shadows. So if we don't put values onto the object, you can see that it's very flat. But as soon as we start putting highlights and shadows, you can see it creates different graphics, right? So this appears like it's some sort of ball floating in space, whereas this one is the ball, but it's grounded. Value creates depth within a picture, making an object look three-dimensional with highlights and cast shadows. Each of different light source affects your composition. Okay, so here we're adding lots of dark value. So the mood is different in this picture versus these two. This is more lighter value in the center and darker on the outskirts. And then here we have a mixture. So you can see it creates different effect on your composition. So value is used in the landscape where it gets lighter in value as it recedes to the background and giving the illusion of depth. So when you're rendering a picture, it works opposite from interiors versus exterior. On the exterior, when you see a landscape, things are darker if they're closer to you, and as the mountains go further in the background, it gets lighter. See, for example, this picture right here. So the next time you're driving, kind of pay attention to the mountain landscape. The closer mountains will be darker, and as it goes further, it'll be lighter. But on an interior surface, so look around your house, if it's the same color walls, things that are closer to you will be lighter, but as the walls get further away, it will appear darker. So the rendering principle is a switch when you're doing interior versus exterior. Value contrast is what makes objects distinguishable from the background. So the lighter the value on your object and the darker the background, you can see your object more clearly. So in this situation, you have this white calla lily, it pops out right away. Whereas here, the magnolia has more gray values. You can still see it because it's still pretty, the contrast is still pretty vast, so you can see it still, but it's not as prominent. It's not as bold as the first scenario. So, which of these images has the least value contrast? It's the third one, right? So, because it has the least value contrast, you can't see the object, which is the bird, against the background, right? So here you can clearly see the bird in the background. It has a nice value contrast. Here is getting a little more uh, not as clear. You can see that it's starting to blend in, and then as soon as you darken the background, um, there is no contrast at all. So shift in lightness. The mid-value square below is surrounded by a color of darker or lighter tonal value. If the surrounding color is darker, the central square appears lighter. If the surrounding color is lighter, the central square appears darker. So can you believe that these two are the same color, and these two are the same color, and these two are the same color? So when it's on a white background, the surrounding color is lighter, it will appear darker, right? Versus here, the surrounding color is darker, it appears lighter. And to show you that it is the same color, watch this. So I'm going to crop this. Okay. See that? They are exactly the same color, but they just look different because of the surrounding color. So here you can see an example of an achromatic color scheme, right? Black and whites and grays. And then you can add an occasional pop of color inside. Here's another one. Okay. Oops, there's the other one. So the next color scheme is high key. High key is where a picture, place, or thing is all in light value. So these two pictures you can see is very light, very airy, and bright. Okay. Here's another example. So when you're in a high key space, it gives you the perception of more light. Things just seems like it's lighter in scale. It doesn't feel as massive, right? And then the opposite of high key is low key. So low key is where a picture, place, or thing is all dark values, right? So this gives it more of an enclosed feel. And it creates a certain dynamic, a certain mood, right? So this interiors is all dark, as you can see. Okay, so it gives you this certain, it almost feels like a very masculine space. And here they have two pictures side by side, high key versus low key. So you can see it sets a different mood, whether it's when it's low key versus high key. Low key interiors versus high key interiors, right? So one space has this very light and airy feel, the other one feels more enclosed and dark and mysterious, right? So imagine how the color palette flows from room to room, keeping the same colors throughout, but in varying properties, right? So when you have all these connecting spaces, but it's like an open concept, you can see you want to create interest by not, applying the same beige paint everywhere. So you want to start play with color values. See, you got something dark that balances out something very light here, and then you start to incorporate tones and shades and tints into the space of various colors to kind of give interest and tie in the space together. So here you can see this is a very light space. So imagine if these two rooms are together, they have no common bond, right? So maybe in this room you start applying more, you pick more of the darker colors and you apply it to the room so that they have this commonality within the space. So oftentimes when we do a project, maybe we use a key fabric that we're using in the space, and from there we draw in color inspirations to create our color palette. So you can see some of the examples here where they use the fabric, and you can see you can draw different color out of that one key fabric. We can also use a picture. So let's say if your client has this really beautiful piece of artwork that they want you to design the whole house around, that's where you can use the inspiration from the picture to come up with the color palette, even the materials that you see in the picture, and apply it towards the space as well. In the studio class that I teach, one of the projects they have to do is design a hotel, but the hotel, before designing the hotel, actually the hotel is located in Amsterdam, and so they have to pick an artist in the uh, Renaissance period and take a painting from that artist and then create the whole design around this painting. So it's not uncommon, to use photographs, to use artwork to draw out colors from that work and create your own color palettes for the interiors. So you can see here they're using the artwork, and you can see the colors that's drawn from the artwork to tie into the space. You can also use elements from nature to draw out the colors as well. For example, this picture has the eucalyptus leaves, and you're drawing out different tones and shades of the green that you see to create the color palettes, right? Same here. This is the lychee fruit, vanilla beans, um, pods that are used as the color inspirations. So fewer colors are the easiest. Okay, so you always want to start with, I would say 3 is maximum. I wouldn't go more than 3. Because 3 is like the magic number. There are some exceptions where you can go a little bit more, but I would say 3 is maximum. And then after that, start playing with uh, tints and shades. So although it appears to have more colors, but they are in the same family of the 3 that you start out with. So dominant color should be 50 to 70% of the surface of the room, floors and or walls. Secondary color on major pieces of furniture and wood treatments. And third color will be your accent color and will be found in accessories, art, pillows, etc. So you can see the magic number 3. Mixing multiple patterns and colors and keep a cohesive look, right? So you want to repeat that pattern 3 times, repeat the colors 3 times throughout the space to create that cohesive look. Using a bold contrast or accent color to help highlight or to create a focal point. So you want to create interest, you want the audience eyes to go to a certain point. This is where you would paint that wall a bold color or give it texture on that wall. Okay, so that concludes the second part of the color theory lecture, and I'd like to go over the assignment. I'm going to pull up the assignment on Canvas to review what you need to do. Okay, so here's the assignment 3, House Idea Book, Lecture 3, Color and Design. So what you need to do is find images on the internet or house to represent the color concepts discussed in class. Place images in a house idea book in the order below. 5 points will be taken off if this direction is not followed. For each of the 7 images, provide in the note box title, list the colors used, define each color scheme. So is it monochromatic? Is it analogous, right? And you have to tell me if that's monochromatic, what does monochromatic means? Okay, and then describe how the color scheme makes the room feel. So these are the 7 color schemes here: monochromatic, analogous, complementary, split complementary, triadic, high key, low key. And be sure to follow all of these requirements. You Submit to Canvas, so upload a cover page that show you completed the assignment. Submit linked to your idea book. Copy the URL at the top of the screen. And make sure you review the house video setup. If you already did the first assignment, you should be familiar if you have any questions. Okay. So here's an example page on house. This individual picked this color or this picture. So they identify the picture as being monochromatic, and they gave me the definition: shades of blues and neutrals, the color scheme based on tints and shades of a single hue, right? And you want to make sure that you title the section. So this is color theory section. You list the colors used. So for that picture, it was monochromatic. And then you give the definition, what is monochromatic, right? And then describe how the color scheme makes the room feel. So make sure you address and you follow the instruction for all these criterias to get credit for your assignment. Have fun, and I'll see you in the next lecture.